3. The fall of the angel and the fall of man. Now we know that the serpent which tempted man to fall was an angel, and that this angel, having fallen into sin, became Satan. Let us further investigate what kind of sin the angel and the man committed. 1. The crime of the angel. Jude 1, 6-7 reads, "And the angels that did not keep their own position, but left their proper dwelling, have been kept by him in eternal chains in the nether gloom until the judgment of the great day, just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise acted immorally, committed fornication, and indulged in unnatural lust, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire." From this we can reason that the angel fell as the result of an immoral act of unnatural lust, and that act was fornication. Fornication is a crime which cannot be committed by one person alone. Therefore we must know with whom the angel committed fornication in the Garden of Eden. In order to know that, let us first investigate what kind of crime was committed by man. 2. The crime of man. In Genesis 2:25 we read that Adam and Eve were naked and were not ashamed of their nakedness, but after the fall they became ashamed of their nakedness and sewed fig leaves together into aprons to cover their lower parts. Genesis 3:7. If they had committed sin by eating an actual fruit of a tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they would have concealed their hands and mouths instead. It is the nature of man to conceal an area of transgression. They covered their sexual parts, clearly indicating that they were ashamed of the sexual areas of their bodies because they had sinned through them. From this we know that they committed sin through the sexual parts of their bodies. In Job 31:33 it is written, "If I have concealed my transgressions from men, by hiding my iniquity in my bosom." Adam concealed his transgression by covering the sexual part of his body after the fall. This again indicates that the sexual part of Adam's body was the area of transgression. Thus we must conclude that Adam's sexual part became the place of transgression because Adam committed sin through that part. In the world before the fall of man, what act could man have performed at the risk of his life? It could be nothing else but an improper act of love. From the viewpoint of God's creation, love should be the most precious and holy act in the world. Nevertheless, men since the fall have often regarded the act of love as despicable, because love was the very cause of the human fall. This further demonstrates that man fell because of fornication. 3. The act of adultery between the angel and man. Thus far we have clarified the fact that man was tempted by an angel and fell. Both man and the angel fell because of fornication. In the world of creation, men and angels are the only spiritual beings capable of having a relationship of love. From the above, we can conclude that there must have been some act of adultery between man and the angel. John 8:44 says, "You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires." Again, Revelation 12:9 clarifies that the devil is Satan, and that Satan is the ancient serpent, which tempted man. From these biblical verses, we can assert that man is the descendant of the devil, and naturally the descendant of Satan, and thus he is the descendant of the serpent. What were the circumstances surrounding the affair which made man the descendant of the fallen angel Satan? These circumstances are related to the fact that adultery was committed between the first human ancestors and the angel. From this act, all men came to be born of satanic lineage apart from God's. In Romans 8:23 it says, "We ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies." In Matthew 3:7, John the Baptist reproached the faithless people, calling them a brood of vipers, sons of Satan. Again, in Matthew 23:33, Jesus rebuked the Jews, saying, "You serpents, you brood of vipers, how are you to escape being sentenced to hell?" From these biblical references, we can ascertain that there was an adulterous relationship between the angel and man, and this became the cause of the fall of man. 4. The fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We have previously clarified the fact that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is Eve. What then does the fruit of the tree symbolize? It symbolizes Eve's love. Just as a fruit tree multiplies by the fruit which contains its seed, Eve should have multiplied children of goodness through her love centered on God. But instead, Eve multiplied children of evil through her love centered on Satan. Eve was created to become perfect through the period of growth. She could bear either good fruit or bad fruit through her love. Consequently, her love was called the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, while she herself was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then what did the act of eating the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil signify? When we say we eat something, it means that we make it into our blood and flesh. Eve should have multiplied children of good lineage through her blood and flesh of goodness derived from the good fruit she ate in her love centered on God. Instead, she produced a sinful world by multiplying children of bad lineage through her blood and flesh of evil derived from the evil fruit she ate in her love centered on Satan. Accordingly, Eve's having eaten the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil signifies that she had a blood relationship with the angel Satan through her evil love centered on him. Genesis 3:14 states that God cursed the fallen angel, saying he should go upon his belly and should eat dust all the days of his life. Upon your belly you shall go means that the angel becomes a miserable being, unable to function properly according to the original way of creation. To have to eat dust means that he has to live by receiving evil vitality elements from the sinful world, deprived of the right to have elements of life from God, since he was thrown down from heaven. Isaiah 14:12, Revelation 12:9. 5. The root of sin. According to what has been elucidated by the Bible, we have come to understand that the root of sin is not that the first human ancestors ate a fruit, but that they had an illicit blood relationship with an angel symbolized by a serpent. Consequently, they could not multiply the good lineage of God, but rather multiply the evil lineage of Satan. Furthermore, there is another fact which demonstrates clearly that the root of man's sin stems from adultery. It is because the root of sin began by a blood relationship that the original sin is transmitted from generation to generation. Every religion which teaches how to eliminate sin has called adultery the greatest sin, and has emphasized an ascetic life in order to prevent it. This also demonstrates that the root of sin lies in adultery. The Israelites were circumcised as a condition of redemption to become God's elect, because the root of sin lay in having received evil blood because of adultery. And they wanted to sanctify themselves to make a condition that the evil blood be removed from their flesh as fallen men. The principal cause of the downfall of numerous nations, national heroes, and patriots was adultery, because the urge to commit adultery, the root of sin, was always at work in the mind of man without his being conscious of it. We may be able to eradicate all those other sins by elevating the ethics and the morality of man through religion, education, and improvement of the economic and social system. But in present conditions, no one can prevent the crime of adultery, which has become increasingly prevalent as the development of civilization makes human life easier and more indolent. Therefore, we can never expect the ideal world to be established unless we can eradicate the source of this crime. Accordingly, the Lord of the Second Advent must be able to solve this problem completely. All these facts prove that the root of sin lies in adultery.